Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, with special guest appearances from Andrew Hoags Hoganson, three avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Minnesota Twins. Men for the Win is sponsored by the Grand Group with Edina Realty. Are you looking to purchase a new home in the Twin Cities area? Or perhaps you're trying to sell your current home? The Grand Group with Edina Realty will meet all of your housing needs. Contact the Grand Group by emailing thegran, G-R-A-N, group at edinarealty.com or call them by phone at 612-817-8751. Men for the Win is part of the Pulltab Sports Network, covering sports, culture, and entertainment across the Midwest. Check them out at pulltabsports.com and give them a follow on all your social media platforms at Pulltab Sports. On this episode, David and Dan recap the Twins' 3-game series against the Tampa Bay Rays. Thanks for listening. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win. My name is David Kufis. With me, as always, is Dan Thompson. The Twins open their home series against the Rays. It starts with a bang, then it doesn't do so great, Dan. And actually, speaking of starting with a bang, Dan, Target Field loses power during the home opener. Like, people are already in the stadium, and I guess a bunch of downtown buildings lost power, and Target Field was among them. Quite a few jokes, Dan, running around X here about this situation.
What I find so fascinating is this new Pulltab. Is it Tom? Is it Joe? Which Pulltab is this?
It's Tom.
Okay.
Just think generic white guy name from the 70s or 80s.
Perfect. So Tom actually strikes me as somebody who's very he wants to be in the moment, and I appreciate that. Do you think that that's going to be a good thing in the end? Is he going to is he going to have this false sense of I'm going to win now? And then he's going to overinvest at the trade deadline instead of jettisoning everybody?
Honestly, he just needs to do something to back up the words that he's saying about how we're going to win now, because he's done nothing to help this team win now. He's helped the fans get wasted cheaper at the games, but that doesn't help the product on the field, Dan. I mean, it doesn't make things better. But I mean, the Pulltabs, they had that debt. They had the debt. I guess they also had the debt for the power bill they forgot to pay. The other line I have here is the Twins lineup has the same amount of power that Target Field has. The other right-sizing the business included selling the generators for Target Field on Facebook Marketplace. You got all these options, Dan.
It's a little embarrassing, right? It's your home opener and the power goes out before. And we're talking about 1,500 people. This isn't a tornado ripped through northeast Minneapolis and North Minneapolis and it knocked out power to thousands. This is barely more than 1,000. You can't call it thousands. It was less than 2.
That's why Excel doesn't actually sponsor Target Field. That's why they're not anywhere to be found there. But on a positive note here, Dan, something big happened, and Tom actually made a nice little speech in the clubhouse here. Buxton hits his 10 years of service time, which in the MLB, I think we talked about this for Christian Vasquez last season, where it's once you hit 10 years, you get your pension and it's vested. Or I haven't looked into the financials about it, but it's a big deal for major leaguers to hit that 10 years. So congratulations to Buxton, I guess.
I feel so old when I hear things like this, right? Because we almost had a podcast when Buxton came up into the majors, right? He was a draftee. I mean, it would have been, a dozen years ago. Just, this feels momentous for my life, I guess, in the way that like when Joe Mauer, that was me. I am Joe's age, right? I have a son who I hope will marry a Mauer daughter, right? This is a little different than that. At a different stage of my life. Should I have admitted that? I know the names of his daughters because I'm hopeful.
You live in Spokane. First of all, I don't know how this is possibly going to happen, Dan.
No, I'm simply saying that life finds a way.
It's going to happen, David.
I suppose. Okay.
There's two of them, and I have one son that age. The odds are better than they would be otherwise.
Okay, one more note of positivity here. The Twins in the Nationals, in the national power rankings here, they're still above the Nationals, the White Sox, and the Rockies, Dan. I mean, that's as good as it's going to get for us, I think.
This is really bad. They're 3-6 already, David. And okay, well, they won game 1. So let's move towards that. We'll start with the high.
Series recap.
David, this was a fantastic game. The Twins win this one 10-4. So it was a little edgy at the beginning. So facing Bailey Ober, the Rays got the first 3 runs, and you're thinking, it's cold, this could go poorly, right? But it didn't. Bottom of the 4th, Luke Keeschall singled, he stole second, he scores on an RBI double by Josh Bell, and so the rally is on. Jeffers singles, Larnach walks to load the bases for Mr. Big Spot himself, Royce Lewis, who gets super lucky. right? So
Oh
like he
my
hits,
goodness.
it is, you could not hit a ball to shortstop more perfectly than Royce did for a double play. And the shortstop, Carson Williams, God bless him, can't handle the ball, right? A run scores. Royce celebrates way too big for the play that happened. You're not supposed to, he should be wiping sweat off of his brow, but it wasn't warm enough. So he celebrates instead. That was so weird.
Stop it. Get some help.
Like,
He's just looking for any reason to celebrate, Dan.
He's
Any
3-2.
reason at all. But yes, totally agree. The celebration, totally unwarranted. You described the situation perfectly, Dan.
So, but it's 3-2, and then a Tristan Gray. Shall we call him MVP? Tristan Gray. It's a sac fly to tie it at 3, and there's hope. And it's innings, right? It's 4 innings, 3.5, and it holds to the bottom of the 7th. And there's a scare because Byron Buxton gets hit by the pitch on his arm. How, David? I don't have enough fingers left to count, and I have more than Frodo, right? Like, how many times I've been worried about Byron Buxton hit by pitch.
We're about to begin bonding adamantium to weapon exoskeleton.
You hit that 10-year service time, Dan, and your bones become bonded with adamantium. He's going to be fine. I don't know how many different outlets I saw say this. Buxton escapes injury scare.
No.
Like, that phrasing doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Like, no, he had the scare. He escapes injury. Like, he doesn't escape the scare. That happened. That still happened, folks. It's just he escaped injury, I suppose.
I appreciate your precision grammatically. So anyway, he's okay, but it actually sparked a rally because James Outman, who, if there's ever a pinch runner that you want, it's him. He runs for Buxton. He steals second. Keyshaw gets on an infield hit. And then after Wallner struck out 5 times in this game, I thought that when I was younger, I had seen Kirby Puckett strike out 5 times in a game. Apparently I hadn't because that stat didn't come up. But anyway, Bell singles in Outman. It's 4-3. And then the Twins load him up thanks to another Tampa Bay error, right? Larnach walks. Lewis walks and again celebrates like it's a Prince song, right? And then Tristan Gray hits the ball. I watched this like real time, and I thought there's no way that ball is leaving the stadium. And it hit. There was no other place. There may not be no other stadium where that's a home run, and it barely got over the wall, but it was a grand slam, and I felt really good for the guy. It's his first of his career. It's 10-3. The Twins win this game 10-4. Everybody's happy. A home opener victory.
I have to think at Yankee Stadium it's a home run, right? Like, you have to think
That's
that
true.
might be
Everything's
the
a
only
home
other
run at
place,
Yankee
but
Stadium in that
yeah.
situation.
If you get it out of the infield, it's probably going to clear the wall, Dan.
Well, and then comes game 2, and I was thinking at this point, okay, the Twins are going to win this series, right? Because they got 2 more chances to win 1 game. Well, that calculus isn't maybe going to work for the rest of the season. So this was quite forgettable. The Rays win this one 7-1. It's cold. There was an announced crowd of about 15,000. There couldn't have been 10 there. So Mick Abel got his first official start, right? Because the last one was a piggyback. So he goes 4 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 Ks. It felt very Bailey Ober-esque from 2025.
Hold up. Now, hang on.
Is that
Don't
unfair?
Be throwing no, yes, it's unfair because we don't really know if Ober is still the Ober of 2025. So let's start there. But secondly, Ober hasn't been in this position long enough for that to be like a thing. Like, you're giving him a nickname for something that happened a couple of times, Dan.
Where did all these unsupervised children come from?
He should go more innings than Bailey Ober has children. Like, at this point, right? Like, that's what I
Yes.
want from my starting pitchers. Anyway, it doesn't work. The Rays went 5 for 14 with runners in scoring position. The Twins just went 1 for 6. The only run comes on an RBI single by Brooks Lee in the second. And so at that point, I did have some hope. I think it was 3-1 or something at that point. But that rally fizzled, and then the Rays did the rest. They didn't need a home run. They stole 4 bases. This felt very Rays-esque here in a victory. Like, if I think of the Rays over the 35 years they've existed, this is a Rays win.
Yeah, we talk about the sort of the piranha era of the Twins,
Yeah.
and like the Rays always sort of have this small ball approach, but they didn't really need it here in game 3, Dan, let me tell you. They win this one 4-1. I'm listening to this on the way back from Duluth, and this is what I have to say. First of all, I couldn't do this because the way I was driving and whatnot, and kids were on tablets and stuff, but like,
That's in North Dakota.
I do wish that I could have just had the TV stream on and just listen to Provis and Morneau or whoever was on the call today, because the radio is just a rough listen. I'm sorry. It
Really?
just, I feel bad. I know that some people like Chris Atterbury. I'm not sure who they are. And there's nothing
But
wrong
hold on,
with
don't
him.
you
Like,
appreciate that he did his time and he has earned his way into this position, and that we owe him the opportunity to get better?
well, okay. First of all, Dan speaking from a teacher in a union. let's be careful there, Dan. But I understand that's your mindset. That's not how it works everywhere, Dan. I don't know if there's a union mindset among sportscasters or whatnot, but probably not because Provis got the promotion. But anyway, this was a game that
Are you not entertained?
Go ahead. Continue here with your line of reasoning. I appreciate that.
Spoken like a true union man. I did have some hope actually that the Twins were going to come away with this series, and honestly, it would have been a fun one to come away with. But SWR, phenomenal outing, 6 2/3, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 4 Ks. The offense does absolutely nothing to help him out. Matt Wallner hits a solo shot in the second, but other than that, they go 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. The Rays actually tie it in the top of the fourth on a solo homer from Caminero. You know me, Dan. I love to look at the pitches and make sure that they were okay pitches to throw in the counts if there's home runs hit against the Twins. It's a 2-2 pitch in the dirt. Like, there is no reason for Caminero to even swing at this ball, but he goes down, he golfs it into the left field bleachers. So I'm not even going to blame SWR for this one. That was a good pitch as far as I'm concerned, Dan.
Yeah, but then the things kind of fell apart with the Twins as Topa gave up a leadoff home run to Palacios in the 10th. This was the longest extra inning.
Oh my goodness.
It felt like
man.
It was a 20-minute top of the 10th.
It took me from like Hinckley to frickin' wherever. I was close to 694 by the time this inning was over, Dan.
Anyway, the bases load. Taylor Rogers comes in. It was super long. The Rays they win this 4-1, but it should have been 10-1 the way that this game went. The Twins, of course, did nothing in the bottom. I again, like, kind of felt like just end the series for goodness sake. Let us move forward.
Dan, as the Twins offense did nothing in the bottom of the 10th, so many people are not doing anything about their lack of hydration, Dan. Did you know that 75% of people are walking around out there dehydrated? It's not a good thing. Dehydration can leave you feeling irritable. It can give you brain fog and feeling low energy, especially in the heat. It's almost summertime, folks. Pay attention. Well, we've discovered a new hydration hero, and their name is Drip Drop. Drip Drop was invented more than a decade ago by Dr. Dolan during life-saving humanitarian aid missions across the globe. He created Drip Drop for fast hydration where IVs weren't possible. Drip Drop is a next-level breakthrough in hydration, backed by 6 decades of ORS science designed for both speed and taste to deliver the fastest possible hydration. Drip Drop is like a secret weapon. 90% of all professional sports teams across all the major sports use Drip Drop, including the Vikings, Wild, Wolves, and you guessed it, your Minnesota Twins. It's also used by the U.S. military, including Army Rangers and Navy SEALs. There's a reason the best choose Drip Drop. It's a superior product, and simply put, Drip Drop works faster and tastes better. Head to Amazon or DripDrop.com and order some Drip Drop. Mix with water and experience for yourself the fastest way to hydrate.
Catch 'em all, Kirby Puckett!
Puckett's Picks winner.
Can we just skip this segment, Dan? I don't understand it. This is insane, the run that you're on right now.
Well, okay, so I won this with Royce Lewis not even playing in Game 3, but he had 3 points. Luke Keeschall, who Hogue keeps picking, had 2. You picked Buxton, an admirable choice. Now, again, he didn't play in Game 2, so you would hope that he would have maybe helped with that performance, but he had -1, and the listeners went with Matt Wallner, who had -2. I held on here. Now, Tristan Gray had the high of 9 points, so I didn't get the bonus point. But here I go, David, 3 series in. I have 3.5 points, and nobody else has any.
It's very sad, and especially because the way that we just dogged Royce Lewis for his celebrations in an air and then a walk. I don't know that you deserve this one, Dan, but congratulations. Let's just hope that the rest of our luck changes here moving forward.
Beast versus Bench.
Is losing fun? Is losing fun?
I gotta start with Tristan Gray, and this hurts me a little bit because I thought that Brooks Lee was going to cement himself into that spot at shortstop. And I tell you, feels weird to say, is Tristan Gray giving him a run for his money? You're gonna bring this up later, but
don't jump the gun here.
But
Dan.
he had a grand slam in this series. It was the big hit. Like, Tristan Gray, dare we say, he's kind of like finding his place in the majors at 30 years old? Yeah, we're going to talk more about him a little bit later. So I want to talk about SWR, though. Again, 6 2/3. It's just so disappointing when our starters go out there and throw absolute just gems here and
the offense can do nothing. And clearly, Derek Shelton, we're going to talk about this in a minute here, but a very different perspective about starting pitchers than Rocco had, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. As for my bench, I went with Kody Clemens, 0 for 8 in the leadoff spot. You have to. This is more an indictment of the fact that the Twins think that Kody Clemens should be the leadoff man. Can we not just put Austin Martin out there and just say, you know what? I don't care about the matchups. Just have a guy who can have a good at bat.
I think that's what they kind of want Kody Clemens to be, but there does come a point where you can only try the same thing so many times. It's the most cliche, definition ever that insanity is trying the same thing and trying, to expect a different result. Well, Kody Clemens he is what he is, Dan.
The definition of insanity? Like, is that what Kody Clemens is?
I don't know about his mental state, Dan,
well, sure, yeah.
But I can tell you what his state is as a leadoff hitter.
Yeah,
not good. Not good. Dan. So I got to give it to Buxton. I understand he got hit on the arm, but my goodness, has he gotten a hit this season? That's how much it feels like.
I was playing a game and I was watching Game 3, right? And they played a highlight before, I think it was the bottom of the ninth when Buxton was up, and they played a highlight of him hitting a home run against the White Sox and winning the game. And I actually thought that he had hit a home run to win the game in Game 3. And then I was so disappointed when it was just a highlight. Anyway, we will talk about Game 3 a little bit more, but I am disappointed with the way that Buxton has opened the season.
How much Easter wine were you in?
Well, it was not much. I was distracted, right? I was trying to do two things at once, David.
Oh my goodness. And we should also shout out Wallner's golden sombrero here.
We should. 5
strikeouts in game 1.
Not easy.
Like it's almost more impressive than getting 5 hits in a game, Dan. All right, let's go here. Derek's debrief.
You ever seen Buck with his pants down? No.
Derek's debrief.
So Derek Shelton in Game 3 here, it's a tie game at the time. He leaves SWR in the 7th inning with runners on base. Now, SWR does not finish the inning, but he gets the man out that he needed to get out. This was surprising to me. I thought this was a moment that Derek would be kind of a Rocco, and he would have done what I think Rocco would have pulled him.
Oh, almost without question.
Sure.
I mean, I honestly think that if we filled out like a workbook, and you know how I'm sure you give this to your students sometimes, Dan, when you're working on the grammar side, like you give them a list of questions. I think that you could give us like a workbook that has all of these different scenarios, and we just answer them as if we were Rocco. I think you and I would be A students, Dan. I think we could, there's nothing better that Rocco could do than managing to lose a baseball game.
Absolutely.
And so I think that we could complete that test with flying. We would be valedictorians of that class, Dan.
And yet we haven't figured out Derek yet. He just does things differently. I mean, it's so I praise him for that because I think it was the right choice to leave SWR in. Obviously, the Twins don't win this game, but I don't think it was because of the way that Derek managed that inning.
Okay, well, I like how we sort of did a compliment sandwich, except for you did the compliment, and then I'm going to bring the criticism here because, Derek, I got a confession to make.
I'll tell you the truth. I'm a little confused by your tactics.
I know you're new here, but my goodness, Derek, for those of us who have been around for a while, Game 3, top 10, truly anybody else, regardless of matchups, the matchups don't matter at all. Taylor Rogers is absolute garbage in back-to-back games.
For sure.
Why on earth you're running him out there? There was this whole move here where the Twins got Acton from the Marlins in exchange for Logan Whitaker. Festa moved to the 60-day, and you called up Acton and sent down Kent to basically have another fresh arm because the Twins play like 15 in a row. There's no rest for the terrible. That's the phrase, right there. So you have a guy out there, and I understand you're playing matchups. You got lefties coming up for the Rays, but no. Taylor Rogers is not that guy. He's not that guy, Derek. You can't trust him to throw back-to-back games. And he threw 25 pitches. Like, go with Banda or somebody else who's throwing less. Or, again, I don't even care about the matchups right there. Don't put Taylor Rogers on the mound.
I actually forgot that we remembered that from a few years ago when, like, Rocco would make that.
I forgot that I remember.
Well, this is how long we've been doing this, David. We could, yes, if there's any truth in baseball, it's that Taylor Rogers is terrible on the second half of a back-to-back.
You don't swing 3-0, and you don't pitch Taylor Rogers back-to-back
Exactly.
games. Okay, let's go on here. Minnesota moment, Dan.
Minnesota moment.
I got to go to the Grand Slam. I know, Game 1, top 7. I'm taking the easy one here. But yeah, he was thinking about retiring Dan, and now we're going to talk more about him in a minute, but it is really interesting. He's a little bit of a journeyman. He hasn't had a ton of success at the major league level. He had really good minor league numbers, though, Dan, all the way up until the major league level. He's just having trouble making that leap. We're going to talk about him next segment as well, but what do you have here for your Minnesota moment?
Yeah, so game 3, the bottom of the 7th and 8th was the moment that the Twins had some chances. They had base runners on. You're at home. And this is that moment where you're like, man, if we can just score some runs if we're the Twins, then all you got to do is get out of you bring in your closer. You don't have to have that ghost runner at second, and it's a totally different game. And they just could not come up with the big hit in the big spot. And I thought that's what this series really boiled down to, was that the Twins just didn't get the big hit when they needed to in game 3. They do that, and this series feels different. The Twins are 4-5, but instead they're 3-6.
Well, and our guy Matt Wallner, who, my goodness, what a terrible series for that guy.
Yes, but a very cute moose. Make all the boy moose go.
I mean, he gets caught stealing, and I don't understand how this happens. Matt, you are not fast. No. You are not a fast man, okay? Stay on base. No. You're not Buxton. You're not Keishel. Don't get caught stealing.
And it's cold. Like, this isn't the time to be out there running. Like,
no, it's never the time to be out there running. Yeah. But okay, so I hope Matt Wallner can get his head in the game. It's a little bit hard because he actually had a decent game 3 from the plate. It's just he couldn't get it together here on the base paths. But let's go hear Mauer's musings, Dan. We got some interesting questions here.
I just don't know how it can get any better.
Mauer's musings.
I know that we didn't see Joe Ryan in this series. I'm a little worried about this starting pitch, and we didn't see Taj Bradley either, right? Which I think, and I guess I would put SWR as the third starter right now in terms of quality so far. But how worried should we be about Mick Abel and about Bailey Ober here through a couple? It's, again, small sample size.
Small sample size, it's early. I don't know. Does it really matter? If the offense doesn't score runs at this point, honestly, you're more concerned about how far they can pitch into the game to save the 2 bullpen arms you actually trust. Mm-hmm. So my perspective right now is let's not get too hasty, but especially, honestly, most teams only have 3 good starters anyway, right? So if Ober and Mick Abel are your 4th and 5th guys and they're just trying to figure it out, if SWR and Taj Bradley and Joe Ryan are pitching well, I'm less concerned about these 2 guys. And again, Zebby's just waiting. He's sitting down at AAA just waiting to come forward. So I'm not going to freak out about it yet. I understand the concern, clearly. But again, most of the games that the Twins have lost so far have not been due to the pitching. It's because the offense can't get their act together.
Well, and we'll see in the grades, the bullpen hasn't really been that big of a problem. I mean, you need a lead to blow the lead, right? I think that's kind of part of it too. But what is your question?
Yeah, okay. So we sort of hinted at this earlier. Tristan Gray, journeyman guy. Brooks Lee really needs to take a step forward to prove that he's going to be the guy, and not even the guy at shortstop, because we don't think that that's going to be his long-term position anyway. Here's my question, Dan. You had alluded to Tristan Gray maybe giving Lee a run for his money and maybe getting more playing time. So my real question, though, is Kaelen Culpepper is a AAA, and he is mashing. AAA pitching is nothing to that guy. He might as well be at the batting cages, just smoking homers off that, Dan. So my question is, what do you think is more likely at this point? Tristan Gray is getting more starts at shortstop than Brooks Lee, which I probably don't think is going to happen, or they just pull the trigger and call up Kaelen Culpepper and say, let's do it.
I have to play this first.
How can you not be romantic about baseball?
Because I look at all 3 of these guys, and there is romance in 3 different spots. It's kind of like David, I don't know if you were lucky enough to be, but if you were pursued by 3 women in your life when you were younger, right?
Continually,
and they all had their advantages. And you're thinking, gosh, this one offers this one offers this, and this is a sitcom, right? This isn't our lives. But okay, so let me paint you a picture. So Brooks Lee, all right, so he is the son of a coach, right? A loyal son who goes and plays for his dad at Cal Poly, which isn't that, I mean, come on. This isn't LSU, right? This isn't Oregon State. Honorable, right? There's romance there, right? If as a father, wouldn't you want your son to play for you? So there's that. There's Tristan Gray, who may as well be like a Kevin Costner character, right? That like his life is on the line here. You know, he's just trying to get his family fed.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Seemingly so, right? And then he hits a grand slam, and you're thinking, And then you've got Kaelen Culpepper, right? The young prospect here, the one who could be great. And you think, that's a great story too, right? Like he leads his team to a resurgence. I don't know how to choose between these 3 from a narrative standpoint, David.
I don't really care, Dan, about the story, all that honest. But
All girls are like onions.
Thank you
There's
for that
nothing
trip we just went
there
on.
that you know,
There is,
pulls
but
on
so
your
are you making
heartstring.
regardless of how good they play baseball? Like I'm only choosing it based on the story.
Well, sometimes
I mean,
that's
Tristan
what
Gray,
do, right?
you gotta cheer for the journeyman turning
Okay.
it around. I mean, the
Over
Kody
the-
Clemens of 2026.
But over the son of a coach, right? That you're choosing that over the phenom? Are you choosing Tristan Gray?
Okay, if we're selling our rights to, like, let's TM this real quick. But so the Brooks Lee story, like the way that's the best story, not what I want to see happen, is that he comes up, he struggles here, right? He's got injuries.
He's got a back problem.
And then he goes back to his hometown and he coaches with his dad, okay, at
Yes.
Cal Poly. And then, after practice with the boys, he's there taking grounders, and all of a sudden, he unlocks something with his swing, Dan. And then he goes to tryouts. He basically, he plays out the rookie. So, like, Brooks Lee's story could be the best, but we need, 15 more years of development for it to really be that good.
I was thinking...
Tristan Gray is already the journeyman, Dan. Like, we already have the journeyman story here, the Bull Durham, if you will.
But this is like Cider House Rules, right? Where it's like he goes back and then he takes over and he gets to say goodnight, like you kings of New York and you princes of New England, or whatever the phrase is. Like,
what are we talking about, Dan?
That's just what it feels like. I hope
wrong
somebody
podcast. Wrong. Hey, folks, by the way, we have a Patreon. On the Patreon,
There you go,
can
right?
listen to Dan and I talk about movies. Picture of record. Not this show, Dan. This is the Twins show.
All right, sorry.
Men for the win.
I just want somebody who can play shortstop and hit 280 and 25 home runs and just play a competent deep short.
Dan's describing all-stars. Those are just casually lying around.
All right, then that's interesting. I'm picking Kaelen Culpepper.
Yes.
He's
No
the one
question.
who can play short the best.
I think that honestly, at this point, I understand that you're still trying to figure out what you have in Brooks Lee. Okay, let me change my question. We spent way too much time on this. How much longer do you put up with Brooks Lee if he can't put up numbers and you call Kaelen Culpepper up?
I said 130 games, right? At the preseason, 140, so he got home for a little bit more. But if I'm eating my words, I want a month. And then I'm just like, all right, Kaelen, you're coming up.
So you think May 1st?
Yeah, I think
Brooks
so.
hasn't
I think
figured it
if
out?
he's playing,
Yeah.
if Kaelen Culpepper's playing that well at AAA, you got to give him a shot.
Dan, I think that's a very level-head,
It's
great
unromantic, but it's
I say pick
baseball.
up the phone today. Let's do it. Come on now. He's over it. He's over in St. Paul. Send him over. Okay, let's go here. Let's grade this series.
Series grades.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to go first.
You go first. It's tradition.
I'm still
right?
trying
You
to
go
list
first.
it. I got the Cider House rules stuff in my head here, Dan. It's hard for me to figure this out. Okay. I have to give him a D because the offense has to find something. 6 for 24 with runners in scoring position, 13 hits in total for the series. I know that hitting is always behind pitching, but this is like a couple of grades behind pitching, Dan. This isn't just like, oh, it's just a month behind the pitching here. No, this is like, no, they're still in AA at this point. You guys got to figure it out. Make some contact. Don't we have a new hitting coach and stuff? Let's figure this out, boys.
We do, and that works so well, firing the guy, Popkins, right, who went on and went to the World Series there. Top of the lineup, I went 5 out of 10. They did nothing. I mean, like the top of the lineup did nothing to set the table here. Middle did enough. I gave him an 8 out of 10 there. The bottom, Gray had the grand slam. I gave him a 7 out of 10 there. And then the starters and bullpen, I gave them each 7 out of 10 because, I don't think pitching was really the issue in this series here. The 4 are inflated because of extra innings in Game 3. So that adds up to 34 out of 50, which is a D+, negligibly different than yours. But I got to say, David, there is something that is much less negligibly different, and it's when you use Cascade CBX Sport, right? So it's the athlete's first choice for peak performance. It's available in sample size, roll-on, pump bottle. Cascade CBX Sport is changing the game with their unique line of sports CBD designed for athletes by athletes. The CBD industry talks a lot about efficacy, which is just a big word for if a product actually works, right? With more CBD per milligram than the competition, Cascade CBD sports products are the first choice of athletes to manage pain, reduce inflammation. You should see for yourself. Go to CascadeCBXSport.com and trust the Shield to stay on the field.
I don't know, Jack. It looked like Herbeck pulled him off the bag.
Herbie's headlines.
The Angels' Joe Adell legitimately robs 3 home runs in one game against the Mariners in a game that the Angels won 1-0 And folks, if you haven't watched this, it's all over X. You can find the highlights. They smush them all into one highlight reel. The last one's crazy. He catches the ball and then he falls into the stands, and somebody in the stands got this great picture of him like holding the ball up, and then you like have that picture of like the right field foul pole, and then you can see him holding up the ball and you see the whole field. And it's the coolest thing, Dan. Have you seen these? Isn't it amazing?
I have bitterness though towards this for a couple reasons. So first of all, there's a little bit of luck here, isn't there? Like the ball has to be hit in a certain spot where an outfielder can catch it. Is that not
60% of the time it works?
Like
every time.
But like, okay, so there's a little luck here. Now
wait, hold up. The way that you're using luck needs to be very specific here in that he had the opportunity. He was lucky to have 3 opportunities in one game, not lucky that he made the plays.
No, I agree with that. That it happened to be that 3 balls were hit in the place where an outfielder could do this, right?
Yes.
So that's what I mean by luck. Great story, Joe Adele. I guess the bitterness comes from the fact that Torrey Hunter is like working with the outfielders in the Angels. And I wish that he was working for the Twins. And so there's a little bit of that. I get it. LA's nice this time of year, right? I was just there a year ago and it was lovely. I was watching an Angels game actually. So I'm a little bitter there. I just think I kind of like I feel about no hitters. That's kind of how I feel about Joe Adele here. Like it was circumstance more than skill.
Okay.
You don't think so?
Sort of. Well, it changes what you just said then, because you're saying it was circumstance more than skill. All 3 of those catches were remarkable, Dan.
But if you spread them out over a season, they seem less like exciting. It's like a highlight reel. Like you took 3 great plays that he made they just happen to be in the same game. If you spread these out over a month, nobody's saying this. I guess that's my point.
This is a weird take, Dan.
It's weird.
Like the Torrey Hunter bitterness, I totally understand. But like having like these issue with just the happenstance that they all happened in the same
game. The stat
game.
that I appreciate is that this happened, and I think somebody said that like, the most that a player had last year was 4 over the season. So what I want to see from Joe Adele is a full season's worth of opportunities here, and then I will be more praising of him. It just feels luckier that he had all the opportunities in one game than maybe say Byron Buxton would have had. I think Byron would have made all of these catches, I guess is what I'm saying, and maybe he would be praised for it.
So were you the 0.2% who is pessimistic about the Dodgers season, Dan?
I have a reasonable take here. Okay, I'm going to move forward here. Okay, if I can just play a sounder to get me there here.
Run away!
Okay. The other thing I want so the number 1 prospect in baseball for the Pirates, right? He recently signed a 9-year, $140 million deal. Is this Connor Griffin? Is that his name?
Yeah.
David. Yep. Okay. So he, in his first plate appearance, hit an RBI single. Good for him. Don't you want the best for the Pirates fans in every possible way here?
Yes. You feel bad for that. I think it's an RBI double, just so we're clear here. Mm-hmm. But the only reason I remember is because I watched the replay a couple of times and his mom was like crying in the stands.
Of course she was, as she should be.
Stuck in my head.
It's a lovely moment.
Yes. Do you not feel a little bad for Connor Griffin that it's with the Pirates? Like, it's so crazy to see these phenoms come up. And can you imagine had the Pirates taken this approach with Paul Skeens and like said when he was coming up in the minds, like, hey, we're going to offer you 9 years and $140 million. Can you imagine? I don't know how much Skeens' contract is going to be, but it's going to be absolutely insane, right? When he hits the market. But so my question is like, how are the Pirates not kicking themselves? They're like, why weren't we doing this? And we sort of talked about this just last episode. Shouldn't the Twins be doing this? Like, sign Wally Jenkins. Let's do it, team.
Yeah, totally. And if I'm Derek Shelton, I'm thinking, hello. Like, I would love to manage that guy. So I hope the best for the Pirates. It would be really cool for them to make the playoffs this year at the minimum. I'm feeling good about that. But let's move forward here. Back to the Twins here with the Tigers series Puckett's Picks.
And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Puckett's Picks.
The listeners are going to switch it up, Dan, and they're going to take Bell here, which honestly not a bad pick. He's done quite well here since he's arrived in Minnesota. It then goes to me. I'm going to take Royce Lewis. Then it's going to go to Hogs, who takes Luke Keeschall. He's just going to stick with his plan here. He thinks Luke is going to blow up eventually, which is so funny because he thought that my perspectives in the season preview show were outlandish, but here he is taking Luke. And so that leaves just you, Dan.
Yeah, I have to go with Byron Buxton, right? The x-rays were negative, so my view of him is positive.
Well, folks, if you like what you hear, please tell a friend. You can follow us on X at Men for the Win and find our Men for the Win Facebook and Instagram pages. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform so that you're notified when new episodes are available. And if you could leave us a rating or like, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to support the show further, you can find us on Patreon. Link in the description. Thanks for listening, and as always, go Twins.
That'll wrap up another episode of Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, with special guest appearances from Andrew Hoags Hoganson, 3 avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Minnesota Twins. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, go Twins.